Welcome to the Black and Red Bible Study. We are in the book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took two of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for burnt offering, and rose up, and went into the place of which God had told him. Verse 4. Then on the third day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and knife. And they went both of them together. Later on, Abraham was getting ready to stab his son, sacrifice him. He was going to burn him. Well, I'm going to tell you why. That's a lot of faith. And you've heard this story time and time again. What I get out of it, God wants to put us to the test to see if we would get rid or sacrifice anything that's close to us and that we really love. You know, if there's anything that's taking the place of the Lord in your life that you really, really, really love, are you willing to sacrifice it? Maybe you like certain things on television. Are you willing to sacrifice it and just give it all over to God? What is it that you love? What is it that's number one in your life? Are you willing to give it over to the Lord? How much faith do you have in God that He'll take care of everything? You know, this means that sometimes we have to go through fire to reveal the true nature of our faith. Whether we build a strong foundation of trust in the Lord, in the case of Abraham here. You know, he was sacrificing something that he really, really loved. So God located the number one idol in his heart. It was his son. And God's locating the number one idol in your heart. What is it? What is the number one idol that's in your heart that you are willing to let go and give it to God? That you are willing to sacrifice it and give it to God? How much trust do you have in God to give that number one idol away to the Lord? You know, He wanted to taste Abraham's loyalties by showing him the one area of his life where he held back. What area in your life do you have that's so important? What is it? You know, we should also keep in mind the number one things that we approach this test. That by faith, we can trust God. Because by faith, Abraham, when God tested him, he offered his son, man. He offered his son, his truly son, that was really close to him, that he loved. He offered him the sacrifice. And here you go, Lord. This is what you wanted me to do. But the Lord stopped him. And just, and found out how much that Abraham would have sacrificed something that he really loved for the Lord. And Abraham also heard God's promise him that Abraham's descendants would be as blessed as anything, as the stars. You know, God followed through to save his son. And he realized how much Abraham really loved him. Then the angel of the Lord called Abraham from heaven once And twice, the second time, he said, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and had not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants blessed as the stars of the sky, numerous. Now, I'm letting you know today, what is close to you? What is closer to you than anything in the world? Are you willing to sacrifice it to the Lord? Would you really sacrifice whatever's close to you to the Lord? You know, sometimes we are tested. The things that we have in our lives that we really truly love, are you willing to sacrifice it and give it to the Lord? See, here it is, Lord. It doesn't mean anything to me, God. You're number one. Ask yourself that. What is the substitute that you have? What is it? What are you encountering that is so important in your life that you love? And ask yourself, would you give it to the Lord? Would you give it to Him? What are you loyal to? What have you committed to all your life that you love so much? Would you just hand it over to the Lord? Do you have that much faith in God? Say, I'm asking you, do you have that much faith in God? You know, it might mean by giving up idols or something, even a good thing, to focus more on our relationship with God. Maybe it means we have to give up something that we like so much. Maybe there's something that's interfering with you in your relationship with the Lord. It's time to give it up. Well, how far would you go? How far would you go with sacrificing the stuff that you love to give it all to the Lord? It's like you paying your tithes. Giving your last $4 or $5, if that's all you had in your pocket and you felt led to do it. You said, I don't know how I'm going to pay for gas next week. But you know what? The Lord always blesses it. And something always happens that you're able to make it to work. That's faith. That's love. Just we owe it all to Him, church. Whatever you idol, whatever you love, are you willing to sacrifice it and give it to the Lord? How much faith do you have in Him to be able to do that? That's why I was going to ask you. What are you willing to separate and give to the Lord and sacrifice? I'm telling you one thing, Jesus Christ died for our sins. He sacrificed. He didn't have to do it. You know, we're tested every day, people. But I'm asking you in this sermon, this message, what are you willing to sacrifice that you love so much and give to the Lord? And how much faith do you have that He'll take care of you? What is it? What is it that you're idling that you would turn it over to the Lord? So, Lord, here you go. What would you do in Abraham's place? Would you have done the same thing? And are you willing to do it now? God bless you. God bless you. What will you sacrifice in your life to give to the Lord?